Felicia Kaufman. The Kaufmans were part of a set of triplets, both 22. Cynthia, a post-operative transsexual, worked at Vanderbilt University Medical Center, while Felicia, a preoperative transsexual, was a student. On July 24th, 1977, during an argument with their roommate's boyfriend at their apartment near Fisk University, the man shot Cynthia in the head, then shot Felicia as she attempted to run away. Their assailant was found guilty of 2 counts of second-degree murder and is currently serving 2 life sentences. Michelle Byrne. Michelle was a post-operative transsexual who had moved to Nashville from Quebec. She was involved in a custody dispute over her 6-year-old son with her ex-wife, which led to her being outed by Nashville's morning newspaper. On January 12, 1987, her East Nashville roommates, in an argument over rent, forced dishwashing soap into her mouth, placed a hot iron on her breasts claiming they were not real, struck her on the hands, elbows, and knees with a hammer, and then after she died from the assault, they cut off her head, hands, and feet, burying the hands and feet and throwing the head and torso into the Cumberland River. The torso was not found for 2 months. The remaining pieces have never been recovered. Michelle Byrne's 2 assailants did receive life sentences. Michelle Marie. Michelle, a female impersonator in Memphis, was shot to death on November 5th, 1990. Michelle was 40 years old.
Francine Wilson. Francine, one of Knoxville's best-known female impersonators, was found strangled to death inside her East Knoxville home on October 5th, 1991. Peanuts, throat slashed in Clarksville in 1992. Cicely Dianca. According to eyewitnesses, Cicely, age 33, was pushed off the Shelby Street Bridge by passers-by into the Cumberland River below on January 18th of 1993. Metro Nashville police ruled it an accidental slip.
Reverend John Gypsy Prowett. Reverend Prowett was shot on a Memphis street on June 23, 1995, and died on July 12th. He was a retired female impersonator who was active in the Transsexuals in Prison program and was a co-founder of the Memphis Transgender Alliance, which later became Mirror Image. Christian Page. Christian Page was a native of Nashville who performed at several local nightclubs. On March 22, 1996, while living in Chicago, Christian was strangled, stabbed 35 times, and burned in an attempt to cover the evidence of the crime. Today she lies in an unmarked grave in Woodlawn Cemetery on Thompson Lane. Her murder remains unsolved. Christian was only 24 when she was taken from us. Julie Smith. A former board member of the Tennessee Vows, Julie took her own life in her parents' home in Scottsville, Kentucky on Christmas Day, 1996.
Barry Winchell. Private First Class Barry Winchell, a Missouri native stationed at Fort Campbell, was bludgeoned to death in his sleep by fellow soldiers on July 5th, 1999, because he was in a relationship with a transgender woman he had met in Nashville at a local nightclub. Ana Melissa Cortez. A 20-year-old Guatemalan immigrant living in the Creve Hall section of southeast Nashville was stabbed to death on October 13th, 2000. Her murder remains unsolved. Della Reeves, or Lester Childress. Reeves, a female impersonator in Chattanooga, was shot to death on July 26, 2001 by a man who saw her show at the Chattanooga nightclub. Reeves suffered up to 70 knife wounds, had a tooth knocked out, and her ocular area was damaged. The state sought a first-degree murder charge, but when the defense used the gay panic defense, the jury found the defendant guilty of only second-degree murder after only 4 hours of deliberation.
Willie B. Houston. Willie B. Houston of Nashville was murdered on July 29, 2001, near the General Jackson's Showboat. His offense was holding his girlfriend's purse while she used the restroom, while he simultaneously held the hand of a blind male friend. Danielle Franklin. Danielle, a resident of Ashland City and a former member of the Tennessee Vows, took her own life on November 4, 2002. She was only 27 years old. Tiffany Berry and Dreonna Blake. Tiffany, a 21-year-old preoperative transsexual, had just stepped outside of her South Memphis apartment when she was shot 3 times in the chest on February 16, 2006. She died a few minutes later. Memphis police described it as a robbery homicide, despite the fact that her purse was not taken, and claimed that her being a transsexual was not relevant. DeAndre Blake was arrested and charged with second-degree murder. Blake was released on a $20,000 bond, even after admitting to friends that he had killed Berry because she had touched him. On July 28, 2008, Blake was arrested again on the charges of first-degree murder and aggravated child abuse in the death of his 2-year-old daughter, Dreonna Blake, over potty training.
Nakia Liddell Baker. Nakia, who was 31 and a native of Murfreesboro, was found beaten to death outside a nightclub on Nolensville Road in the Radnor neighborhood of Nashville on January 7, 2007. No arrests have been made in the case. Ebony Whitaker. Whitaker was found shot to death in Memphis on July 1, 2008. No arrests have been made in the case. Greg McKendry and Linda Krager. On July 27, 2008, a gunman walked into the Tennessee Valley Unitarian Universalist Church in Knoxville and shot and killed Greg McKendry and Linda Krager, and injured several others because of the denomination's historic stance in support of equal rights and the fair treatment of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender persons. McKendry was the foster parent of a young transgender girl. Duana Johnson. On February 12, 2008, Memphis Police Department officers insulted and brutally beat Duana Johnson, an African-American transgender woman. The release of the videotape of the beating in June finally resulted in the officers being fired, but the Shelby County District Attorney refused to press charges against the cops. Johnson then filed a $1.3 million civil suit against the city. Despite a lack of money and concern for her physical safety, Johnson was turned away by local shelters who claimed she made people uncomfortable. And on November 9, 2008, Johnson was found shot to death on a street near her North Memphis apartment. None of her belongings were taken.
So we'd like to take about 5 to 10 minutes